I have it then? Who knows? Incorrect
And
username password.
let's see. Let's make sure we're doing okay. Let's go to the channel. Make sure we don't have any interruptions.
It says this content is not available.
What content's not available
Oh, there it is with the D-pad Hollow Knight.
on the web page?
Yeah, hold on. I found you guys. I couldn't.
Oh, okay. So we're there. Cool. Sweet. That's good. So I have that open.
I think
I've
I
got
am.
our topics open,
Okay.
and Chris, it appears that you are my anonymous penguin in terms of the news content being shared.
What do you mean?
Assuming that you have it open right now.
Yeah, I see that. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking out.
I'm sharing it with Dylan as well, just in case. I'm gonna try to balance talking to you guys with the game itself as much as I possibly can.
Okay. I'll leave that open. I'll leave that page open too, so I can see what what you're talking
Yeah, it's
about.
fine. And then with that, we're doing what D-pad, the Young Folks, the official gaming podcast of theyoungfolks.com. And I'm here with quality brethren, my bloodline here, Christopher Borgatti and Dylan.
Hello.
Hi.
What are you doing, Dylan?
Huh?
What are you doing?
Was sleeping.
Okay. Wunderbar. So, Chris, do you know anything about Sundered, by the way?
No, what is it?
It's basically very similar to the game that we were playing last week, Hollow Knight, because it's a Metroidvania roguelike.
Yeah.
I think it's cool because it looks like a Don Bluth thing, but for a lot of people, it kind of fell apart as they were playing it, and the reason for that is because of the way that it's built. It creates very uninteresting level design. But
Is this the game where you like go down and it looks like you're fighting robot weird things? I don't know.
Kinda, pretty much. But anyway, apart from that and me walking through sand, we have a really, really important thing to cover here. There's going to be a new version of the Nintendo World Championships. There's only been 2 of them. One was in the 90s and one was 2 years ago.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Is this like the
special.
Wizard?
It is.
Wasn't that movie about the kid going to California?
I think that was a completely different thing. I think that was entirely just a fake tournament made as a way to preview
Super Mario.
Super Mario.
Was it Mario
3,
Brothers?
yeah.
Was it?
It was Super Mario Brothers
Mario
3.
That was it.
It was like the world premiere of ever seeing that because games journalists.
All I remember, kid using the Power Glove because it's bad.
The Power Glove is great. The guys on Robot Chicken use one of those. It's probably the most well applied use of one in a very long
He's
time.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
It feels so good.
Because bad was cool.
So yeah, so basically, there's going to be 2 divisions for the Nintendo World Championship. One's going to be for people under the age of 12, and the other is going to be for people over the age of 12, which means there's going to be a bunch of crying 13-year-olds fighting against crying 30-year-olds about who's better at Super Metroid and Contra. Do 12-year-olds
So you're
play?
saying there's really going to be no difference?
There's really going to be no difference, even other than the age gap and a significant amount of facial hair, I can guarantee.
And a sick trophy.
And a sick trophy. Apparently the trophy is, what, $3,000 worth?
Yeah, 2,800.
Yeah.
Good old number.
But yeah, basically those
But I mean, like,
yep.
Is this just kind of a thing for fun, or is it like, is this like their kind of attempt at
Nintendo
MLG?
kinda wants to be in the esports game, but I can't tell if they're really being serious about it.
Because this looks like a one-off thing, like, you'd go to Toys R Us and have a Pokemon championship.
Oh no,
battle,
like they did
with,
this at
your friends.
E3 for Smash Brothers, like the E3
Yeah.
following Smash 4 releasing.
Yeah, because I know there's a big Smash Brothers following for esports, but this just kind of seems like kind of Nintendo trying to do what Nintendo does and like
Yeah.
make like a family friendly version of esports almost.
Well, they kind of did that partially. I remember there were a few different speed runs during the World Championship back at E3 2013, but it kind of didn't play out all that. Oh, you know what it was they were promoting was Mario Maker was a part of that,
Okay.
where they had
Yeah.
custom levels made. I kind of wish that would have taken off a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, but it looked like who could create the most like crazy level that's unbeatable, and I think people just it's a very frustrating game. No one wants to be frustrated for hours on end playing games. Some people find that enjoyable.
I had more
It's like
fun.
I don't want to sit there and be mad.
I had more fun customizing levels anyway, just making really dick move
Oh
levels.
yeah.
And I think that's.
Oh yeah, it's like
That's
it's
why
the best part.
that's why they were so frustrating to play is because the people that had themselves in mind while designing those levels. Yeah. So Nintendo Championship, pretty much. Dylan, do you have anything to add?
What's that?
Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. I'll skip this arms pass.
I mean, I think it'd be good. I just gotta say, I think if Nintendo's bringing back like championship and games, they got to bring back like Mario Baseball, Mario Soccer, completely take over like the FIFA, NFL, like take over that whole stuff. Just make it all Mario themed. Then I'd play that. That's more entertaining.
Yeah, you just gotta have to make them engaging because let me tell you, I tried every Mario Tennis game that's ever existed, and it doesn't work. I mean, it might work, but it's boring after 5 minutes.
I'm a Mario Baseball. That's a game of men.
Well, you don't remember Toadstool Tour? Mario Golf Toadstool Tour?
Oh, I remember the original Mario Golf. That was great.
The one on the N64.
The mini golf. Best.
Dude, the one on the GameCube.
Oh,
that was like a top 10 GameCube game. And I'm
not
sure.
I don't remember playing much GameCube games besides Animal Crossing. That game like sucked me in on my GameCube.
Animal Crossing is the quintessential esports experience.
Who can pay off their mortgage the quickest?
How do you esport Animal Crossing?
Whoever pays off their mortgage the quickest and whoever can catch the most red snappers and like giant beetles.
Dude,
that's
Dylan,
right.
You've innovated something. You have to start an Animal Crossing speedrun community.
Yeah.
It's
Imagine
perfect
that.
for Twitch. You just got to be on it 24/7.
I would like to make a confession. I just used the codes to get all the furniture I wanted. I cheated to get my house the way it was. I'm sorry, guys. Just letting you know.
I'm supposed to be able to run up the wall, but whatever. Yeah, so basically, moving on from that, a little bit more Nintendo news. A couple of things Metroid, because I love Metroid. And I'm sorry for loving Metroid.
There's nothing to be ashamed about that, except other M. That was bad.
Yeah, well, you know what? Zelda isn't all perfect either.
Evidently, it is.
Is it?
Because like every game has a 10.
I don't know. People kind of didn't. I don't know. I think people.
It doesn't mean that they're all like 10s though. For real.
They don't have to be 10s. A game. I think it's just it's like on such a high pedestal that like if a game is like okay and it's a Zelda game, it's just like, oh my god, this is the worst game ever. But it's like, no, it's better than 90% of what's out there anyway.
Skyward Sword was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, absolutely was. But aside from Zelda, in regards to Metroid, there's two things going on here. The first is, well, we've been getting Metroid Samus Returns gameplay video coming up a lot. So everybody, all the major news outlets have been doing 10-minute previews, basically showing amiibo functionality, core fighting mechanics. You got like 360 aim, which is not common in Metroid games actually. But as a result, there's also a Metroid 3DS coming out, like a special edition. So like like people who are crazy Nintendo fans, they buy more
like they have
console units than anybody. Yeah. So now we have a new Nintendo 3DS XL coming out, and it's a Metroid theme, and I'm thinking this console is 11 years. No, sorry. It came out in 2011. It's 11 years old. No. It is
Dear God.
6 years old. So I'm thinking there's a brand new Switch console out. It's got portability, and is this going to be another mistake for the Metroid franchise where you have something that's going to come out and it's going to be at the very end of the life cycle of that console? Because that happened with Metroid, Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo. That was like the last major year of the Super Nintendo being a console. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing again. And also, who is buying a 3DS right now?
I still don't have a 3DS, so maybe this is like one, especially because I still don't have a Switch,
Now,
and there's just a ton of back catalog to play.
There's no reason. There's no reason to this fucking Switch.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there's an amazing back catalog of 3DS games, and they're only going to work on a 3DS. But there's an amazing back catalog of DS games as well. And I don't hear people talking about those as much, other than, you know, a select few. What the frig?
You know, it's a great game. Breath of the Wild, except
It's not.
it's not. I'm kidding. It is. It is a wonderful game, except there's nothing to do in it. So.
Well, there's plenty to do, all with the single goal of defeating Ganon, and once you do that,
Except there is really nothing to do, because at the very most you get a weapon that breaks.
That's true.
You're saying Legend of Zelda PUBG.
And the side quests aren't even fun except for Terrytown. What?
Which side quest?
Make Zelda.
What?
I say we should make Zelda a MMORPG game.
Oh, like Destiny.
No,
Actually,
Destiny's like, it's like a. Is it an MMORPG? It's an RPG.
It's
Is
a
it actually
first-person shooter MMORPG.
Ah!
It's an FPS MMORPG. That's 3 acronyms
But what is an
in
MMO?
one.
It has to be. It has to be massively, right? It has to be massive. What defines massive? There's only several people in a zone.
In Destiny?
What are we defining as MMOs now? Because I remember, didn't Bungie say this is not an MMO?
That's what Activision was calling it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but Activision's just a developer. They're gonna say anything they can to get their games to sell. You gotta look at who's making the game, what they're saying.
Well, then I guess if Bungie didn't say it was an MMO, I just wanted to say 3 acronyms in a row, okay?
They should revitalize RuneScape.
RuneScape. Which they're putting on mobile now, by the way. Did you hear that? They're putting them on phones.
Is it the classic RuneScape or
Yes.
is it the new RuneScape?
Classic RuneScape.
Maybe I'll look into that. RuneScape.
I'm a RuneScape purist, so classic is the only way for me.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting that Nintendo would be doing a special edition console for a game coming out, and I can't imagine how much there is left in the life cycle of the 3DS at this point in time. So I just thought it was
because when Nintendo makes something that's collectible, people are gonna buy it regardless because there's just a market for that. Look at Amiibos.
Yeah, especially because Metroid fans are so
They're
starving right now.
Exactly. They're looking at the hungry market of Metroid fans and like, let's give them something.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, I just thought that was a little weird. I'm like, oh, they should be putting their attention on the Switch. That's a game that should have been on the Switch. I don't know. That's what I say.
Nintendo really be fixing how to communicate with your friends.
Chris, let's play RuneScape together.
You want to have a Let's Play series where we try and become the richest guys in RuneScape?
I was the richest of them all because I had 6 wives and like 12 bows and arrows.
All I remember is people would pretend to be girls and ask for gold.
Yeah, a bunch of ladies, and they'd be like, "Hey, handsome, you wanna go to
the tavern,
the bar?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I do. Give me all your RuneScape money."
I hate these spiny plants. In other news, Chris, you know about AM2R, right?
Is that the developer who's making like the Metroid game, right?
The
remaster?
Remake. He was doing a Metroid 2 remake for PC.
Yeah, I saw.
I remember following that since its inception. Like, he had demo videos out years ago, like the early days of YouTube. He finally put it out last summer, like literally a year ago for Metroid's 30th anniversary when Nintendo did nothing because they had 2 Metroid games in development. Actually, they had 1 Metroid game in development, and it wasn't close to done yet, so they said nothing about it.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, and I remember seeing some video of it, and I heard it got shut down.
It did, and he has. I don't know what the guy's name was. I couldn't find it through journalistic skills. But he's been picked up as a new hire for an Xbox studio, High Moon, which are the guys who did Ori and the Blind Forest and are doing a sequel to it currently. So he's working on level design for that game.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Goes to show, you know.
Who knows? Maybe
In your own
someday he'll be
passion
picked up
projects.
to do a Metroid game, because he's done the best
For-
Metroid game since 2002.
Game for the 40X.
40X.
That sounds
It's
terrible.
It's the extra dimension.
Oh, that sounds boring.
4DX.
Oh my God, there's so many.
That's good
things.
for him, though.
Oh, and my frame rate just dipped.
Wasn't there a modder who made a Bethesda mod for like Skyrim who got picked up by another developer?
That sounds right. I mean, it
To
depends.
be his
It's
portfolio.
like, if you know how to mod, then you have the skills to develop games. It's kind of as simple as that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, that's basically I guess what modding is. It's like your portfolio.
For a lot of people, it is.
Advantages.
There are people who go
Yeah.
to school for game design, and as more unoriginal people, they'll design stuff for a mod for an already existing game instead of something from scratch, so that all the assets are made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on to some more PC-related stuff. So Valve is announced a new game, and it's not Half-Life 3. How sad is that?
What?
Valve announced a new game, and it's not Half-Life 3.
Half
Did you
bite?
see the that
Half
old
half
physics
squat?
space shooter?
It's a card game for Dota.
Did you see the reaction from the crowd when you saw like and then it said whatever the name of it, crowd you share, like a big moan. Is that bigger?
It's just like after this and Elder Scrolls Legends, and I understand that Hearthstone has resonated with people a lot, but that's because they already liked WoW. So I'm thinking, why do we care? Who asked for these card games, and why are there already so many of them? Do they do well? Do people ask for them? Do people spend money on them?
I mean, people have always been playing card games. Look how long Magic's been around. I guess you figure move that to a digital medium, and if you get enough followers, it'll stick around forever. And it's probably not hard to maintain.
The novelty of it was that you had like your own. I don't know, maybe not.
Cards.
I was just looking at the
phones and stuff. I remember going to Disney and being online, and someone was playing Hearthstone on the 40-minute line wait. I'm like, that seems like a good way to spend the time.
Yeah, I guess so.
There is a market for, I guess, people who want to play card games on the go. I think it's just what happens is, especially in like regular card games, is if you're not there initially and if you don't see it up to, like through, usually you're stuck behind a giant paywall at that point. There's no real easy way to catch up in a card game.
Yeah.
Cards, but pay to advance kind of system.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the illustrations for the new like Blizzard card game or whatever.
That's not Hearthstone?
I don't know. Oh, is that
another one?
Is that what it is? Then it's not new. I have no idea.
But I was reading that the system might be different in this card game, where it's going to be like based off like in Dota, like lanes and gold and hero management. So it could be something different. It might just be cards, but it could be an interesting game to look at. And who knows? Maybe it'll have a $2 million purse like the Dota Championships will.
Oh, was that a thing?
I think the winners for like the Dota Compendium, whatever the tournament is, it's several $1 million. It might be more than $2 million. I'm not really sure, but I know they make good money from that tournament.
I'm kind of blowing through the news that I aggregated this morning, huh? Hey, Chris, you're an Xbox One owner. You use your Xbox
Yes,
One.
I'm an Xbox boy.
Now
I'm an
you can
Xboxer.
place your Spotify account on Xbox One like everybody's been doing on PS4 for since it came out.
I
I'm
gotta
an
be honest with you.
Xbox boy.
I
Xbox.
don't really listen to too much like outside music when I'm playing a game.
Well, it depends on the
I don't know
game.
what.
Like
It
what
really
what
does,
kind of
but
game are you playing on your Xbox?
I played shooter. Shooters, Halo. I played.
And you don't
What
listen
else? I played
you don't
sports
listen to
games.
music much while you're playing it?
Not really, because I feel like I'm focusing on the game. So like even if I'm listening to something on like a podcast on my phone, it's going in one ear out the other. Probably relaxing and good. Like I could see if I was playing a game like Skyrim, like if it came out now, or like Fallout. If I was playing Fallout 4, is that what we're up to?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see like you have long gaming where it's like, oh, you want to listen to music. It's I don't know.
See,
It's
it a
cool.
lot. I used it a lot when I was playing Destiny, the Destiny campaign, mostly by myself because I had it for the Taken King era, and I was basically blowing through the vanilla campaign on my own. So instead of
Okay.
chatting with people, that's what I was doing. I had the game music muted with the sound effects going, but then had the whatever music I wanted playing in the background.
I mean, yeah, it's. I guess it's all up to preference. But I'm not really someone who. I mean, I listen to Spotify all the time.
Yeah.
All that. But the music I listen to, I'd never be like, oh, this is what I want to listen to when I play a game. Like, not really. I want to. That's just me.
Yeah, I guess it's just.
I can see
It's also
or
cool
something on Xbox.
if that machine is like the centerpiece of your living room, because then you
Yeah.
just use it
Yeah.
as
Oh
a
yeah.
multimedia tool.
Especially with how Xbox wants to be linked to your cable box, your TV, like it wants to be like basically the all-in-one box. It's definitely something they were lacking.
Oh,
So
totally.
it's good for them to have it now.
Definitely.
It's the step in the right direction.
Yeah, they just gotta, whatever. Completely.
What Xbox like, that's more exclusive. That's what it needs. That's what all. But you're gonna make an exclusive now when you could have it on
Yeah.
3 or 4 systems. They make more money.
Completely unrelated, but did you see the thing about Disney and Fox removing their content from Netflix?
Disney might want to take everything off Netflix, which
They're definitely.
now we're getting.
They're getting what?
I was gonna say it's definitely getting to the point now where it's no longer to take like completely cut the cord. Now everything's like a different streaming services that's going to cost so much more.
Well,
It's like $10 a month for this, $15 a month for this, $10 a month for this. It's like when are you going to start paying like $100 a month just to see all the shows you want to watch?
Well, and that's exactly it, right? It's eventually, slowly, over time, gonna get back to that place where people are already feeling about cable.
Yeah, everyone's going to go back to piracy because who's going to want to spend all that money to see like maybe one show they want to watch?
Well, and I
or
think
it's going to go the route where.
Yeah, it's gonna go the route where what?
Like where you're gonna have one person have an account, like 5 people share it, like basically every Amazon Prime account. It seems like
And they already do that. Yeah.
I know it's who. Like, I mean, Netflix has a stop where it's like only I think like 2 people can stream at a time, but it's like it's getting annoying now. Everything was good when everything kind of was either on Netflix, Hulu, HBO Go, but now it's like is every little channel or service is there going to be a service for everything?
Well, I think back
A
at
show
that
at some point?
back at that point where you were able to sign up for contracts like that, it's considered kind of a non-risk because then it would have been considered experimental, right? Now that it's the defining platform type, like applications and streaming services, they're going to be putting the money towards that instead of towards cable. So of course they want to do their own streaming service. It makes the most sense. Like they're basically kind of pitching money in to see like, oh, where's the market at? Do they want to see our content on Netflix? And they kind of build the brand recognition on a streaming platform. And so now they can take that whole audience. And they've been wanting to do a la carte services for years, especially with cable, right? I mean, there's no way for you to have a Comcast subscription and be able to pick and choose exactly what channels you get. You either get some or you get all. So you might want FXX and IFC, but then you got to get like all the other ones, and
Mm-hmm.
that gets expensive. So I don't know if Comcast or the service providers for cable are going to change their package plans, and the people just pick and choose exactly what channels that they want, and therefore the channels that don't do well definitely
Yeah.
fail, or these companies are just gonna avoid it, cable dies, and then the studios that want to do their own streaming service somehow learn a lesson. Like, what if Universal's like, hey, we want some of that kind of money, let's pull all our stuff and do our
Yeah.
own streaming service? Well, that's not gonna do well. Who wants to watch movies by Universal right now other than Edgar Wright movies, and if you don't really know what you're doing, the Jurassic Park sequels?
But I guess that's my fear of it. Is like everyone's gonna be like, why don't we just make our own streaming service? And then like literally everything you want to watch is on a completely different service in apps on your TV just to watch them all.
Yeah, I mean, best case
Basically,
scenario, everybody turns into their own HBO, and then there's not
yeah,
excess schlocky programming.
yeah.
Everything is
Honestly,
concise
HBO
and controlled and good.
HBO is my favorite of all the streaming services right now. You know, they have a lot of movies, and I'm like, I've watched most of these. Not like Netflix, where there's like just a lot of fluff.
There's a lot of
They have
fluff.
great. All their original shows are really good. I mean, I find myself going to HBO Go more than Netflix nowadays than anything.
I don't use HBO Go all that much, but that's because I just don't really seek it out, and so I haven't really gotten
Yeah.
hooked on stuff. But as soon as I probably
Yeah.
start tuning in to catch up on Game of Thrones, or finally get around to watching, like Silicon Valley or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that maybe if more services are going to go off on their own, that just means that they make better content for themselves. But
Yeah, I think that if that's where the market's going and you have to pay whatever for different shows, it'll probably turn into something like look what Showtime's doing, right? You have the ability to, for whatever
yeah,
few bucks a month, add Showtime or Stars to your Hulu subscription, right? And you can cancel it,
yeah,
I guess, unless they have programming to entice you to watch for more amounts of time. That's why Westworld is such a big deal, because it's not going to be it's going to kind of overlap and keep people who are sticking around for Game of Thrones on the HBO service for that show when it comes
yeah,
back. So, but I think that it's either a channel like that, like a streaming service, is going to completely flop, and something like Fox,
yeah.
like people will watch Always Sunny and then nothing else. I don't know.
You don't know though, because maybe people are really into The Simpsons still, or maybe people want
But
like
not
a
that
new
many
streaming
people,
service.
and I think that's the difference. Is when you're setting up a streaming service, people are either going to meander and watch nothing, or they know exactly
Yeah.
what they want to watch. I
Mhm.
think that when you have so much schlock, people just kind of scroll through stuff, but then they ultimately don't watch anything. That's like
Yeah.
channel surfing on cable.
Mhm.
And the only reason that that's the way that it is because those channels had time slots to fill. If you don't have time slots to fill and you're just making programming that's supposed to be a destination platform, then that makes way more sense.
But maybe, well, what happens when bunch of these, a couple of these companies could branch off and make their own basic version of Netflix and have a way that would be on Netflix usually.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, that was kind of like a weird divergent.
Yeah. All of them are basically want to have their own streaming service at their own point and like their own originals, like Netflix is doing.
Yeah.
And like ever before now.
Yep. Oh, okay. The skill tree is a little. Huh. Oops. Okay. Chris, do you know anything about processors?
I have one in my computer. I know that.
I have one in my computer too, and I can tell you diddly shit about it because the marketing by Intel makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I know. It's I remember building a computer and be like, why does this have to cost so much? And then
So like,
looking it up, and I'm like, okay, I understand kind of, but I don't really.
what kind do you have?
I believe I have an i7.
So you have an Intel.
Yeah, I have an Intel.
So you have an i7 for whatever the year was that you got it, and so
Yeah.
that's basically what's in mine as well from last year. But Intel's pretty much owned that market. Have you heard about AMD kind of coming up and kind
Making
of
cheaper ones.
yeah, making actually affordable processors?
Oh, it's welcome to the free market.
Well, right. But so here's the weird thing that makes that more interesting is Intel's i9
Yeah.
is insanely unaffordable. Like, oh my god, hold on, let me find out what the price tag on it was. A $1,000 processor.
A little bit out of my ballpark with with that price right there.
And Chris, and it
At least you have a
requires
ballpark.
at least it requires no, I'm sorry. This $1,000 processor also requires a very specific motherboard. So not only if you really wanted the best processing experience, you need to buy the more expensive, more compatible motherboard. Otherwise, you're SOL.
But is it really worth it? Because my computer, which is like now runs every game perfectly fine now. I'm still getting 60 FPS. I'm still getting HD 1080.
Well, it's like
Or
if you have an i7,
hey, but
you're fine for a while. But my point is like for people that want to really future-proof themselves, right?
but how far do you want to future-proof yourself? Like for your is this like basically a trust fund for your grandkids? Like they'll be able to play games on this computer?
That's the thing. I have no idea.
Why?
They
It's
don't
like
know who it's for.
why you?
So I think this is a result of them trying to cut out the old ones, the ones that are
Yeah.
still in computers, but it's a type of processor that's been around for since Windows XP, I think. Maybe even earlier. And so that way the only ones that people look at are these ones labeled Core. But the problem is if you're going to bump up the standard, make the maximum standard affordable.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
If they-
meanwhile, the
they
Threadripper is
they-
demolishing the market already. So,
Yeah. So I'll probably be looking at AMD for the next processor.
I think
Whenever I have to build a
a
computer.
lot of people will be, especially once this new one, the Ryzen, which is basically their version of the Core,
Yeah.
really kind of starts getting reviews out. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
But it's becoming more and more expensive to build a top end computer now. So I don't know if that's good or bad for the PC market.
I don't know, man. It's ultimately bad because most of these games need to be
Yeah.
made to run on lower end machines in the first place.
Yeah. And
Because-
most games are ports now, and the only thing you really get with them is maybe you get 60 FPS, and even that's coming to consoles now. So
Right, most of them being ports end up being broken
Yeah.
in the first place because it also adds a crap ton of development time to a video game. And it has to guarantee compatibility with somebody's computer that is 6 years old as well as a top-end brand new one. So what's the point of the top-end brand new one if
Mhm.
it doesn't really have that in mind outside of the developer space in the first place?
I think that's why a lot of companies don't really like develop first for PC. They figure we'll just release it as is. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're gonna get more sales on consoles, really.
Yeah, it makes
It's kind of just like extra money at that point. If they buy only a few. It's not the biggest market place, but it's a very tight community that the dirt on the PC side. But I'm sure most console people, if it runs fine on their machines, won't really care. Look at Arkham. Look at whatever the last Batman Arkham game was.
Oh, Arkham. Which one? There were a couple.
Well, the most recent one, the one that they literally had to take off Steam.
Arkham Knight.
I think it was.
Because the Telltale one, even something that's supposed to be super duper simple, had problems.
Those should run on iPads. Yeah, those should run on iPads. They should not have any problems.
But the PC was the one that had the problems.
They don't. It's really. It's not the biggest market. It's honestly. It's like mobile's the biggest market. It's like they worry about that first, and probably consoles and
Yeah,
PCs last.
yeah,
It's such a
it's
big modding community.
yeah,
I'm tired. I want to fix other people's games at this point.
yeah. Well, PC's basically a market for people to learn how to make games and also how to see things at top performance.
Yeah, I think people who build PCs and play PC games are very passionate about gaming. They really love computers and all that. So I don't. I think it's more than just playing video games when you build like a high end PC. You build it
Yeah,
for yourself because you want to prove. You want to prove yourself.
right.
You know, parts and stuck them in a box and this game in 4K.
Mm. Um,
You have a Ferrari, it's not your everyday car. You don't drive that to the supermarket. It's probably the most fun.
mm. So that's what I got for news. Chris, are you still playing Fortnite?
Yeah, I'm kind of hitting a wall
You're hitting a wall with it.
about it.
That kind of cut out there for a minute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I hit like a wall. You're getting to a point in the game where it's just a lot of grinding,
Yeah,
build
I can
weapons,
imagine.
and it's getting grindy. It's still in beta, so I guess they can technically fix all that.
Mm.
But I'm at this point, it's kind of my holding me till Battlefront 2 because I'm hoping that game's good because I like Star Wars.
Mm.
The trailer is really good for Battlefront 2, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, everything's kind of pointing to it being having the same elements that made the first Battlefront 2, the first second Battlefront, good. Um,
Yeah, I mean the gameplay in Battlefront was really good. I liked the shooting, I liked the level design, I liked the vehicle card thing, and the whole pickups was kind of flawed. But overall I liked the game. It was just there wasn't enough to do in the game. There were only
there's no
3 maps.
substance to it. It was basically you were
Yeah,
just getting this really cool engine that still got some growing to do.
yeah. It felt like it was kind of a test game. It just showed what they can do, and I was like, I like this. Now make something better.
Yeah, that's basically all
Give
they
me
were doing.
story. Yeah, it's like give me story mode. Give me clones. Give me droids. Give me all the Star Wars universe. Give me if Galactic Conquest came back, this would probably be the best game ever, and I would stop playing all my other games. But
Um, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, I've actually played a couple of games that are new to me anyway. Um, one, I think both of you would really like. Um, it's called Overcooked, and it came out last summer. Have you played that one, Chris?
what's that game?
Overcooked?
I think I've seen it play. Is that the game kind of like where you're like different animals and you have to like prepare stuff in a kitchen? That's kind of
So yeah, it's a top-down puzzle thing, and unfortunately, the best way to describe it is it's like Diner Dash, but it has so much more um, substance to it. Um,
hmm
because you basically have to work these puzzles and work cooperatively because it's anywhere from 1 to 4 players on how
yeah.
to get the food prepared, as in you have to get the proper amount of food and cut the food or mash the meat or whatever.
Chop
And
this lettuce.
yeah, and then so basically you have to prepare things to specific specifications, and then you need to put it out on a conveyor, and then you need to wash the dishes and then do the whole cycle over again. But you're on like a 3-minute timer, and it increasingly becomes more challenging, not because of the number of orders that you have to do, but because of the environment constantly changing. So like it starts off where you're just making a small room and you're making salads for a giant flying spaghetti meatball monster. And then, it starts off really simple where you're making like cheeseburgers, and then all of a sudden you're on 2 semi trucks driving next parallel to each other along the highway, and you have grills on the top, and then that's where they also have to go out to serve people, and on the bottom
Okay.
is where all the meat is, and the lettuce and the tomatoes, and as you're preparing, they drive apart by like changing lanes, and then you have to wait until they merge back
Oh my god.
together to finish the cooking that you're doing. So it's weird things like that.
Oh my god,
And
it does sound like a fun game.
oh my god, it's really addictive. I
It
almost
sounds like
played through the whole thing in one sitting.
it sounds like it'd be good. Like, is it co-op?
Oh, absolutely. Well, because there's couch co-op for it, and then there's also online
Yeah,
couch co-op combo
I was gonna say
multiplayer.
that sounds like a great like couch co-op game. Like just a bunch of people sitting around a TV playing that, just screaming at each other.
Definitely, it's not split screen either. It's all one screen. Um, yeah, that's on PC. I got it on PS4 because it was on sale for $10 with its DLC. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. That's like cheap. Um, that was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like one of the indie darlings of last year, I think. Other than that, I was introduced to Persona for the first time, Persona 5 on
Oh yeah, I
PS4.
remember we were talking about it last week.
Yeah, well, it's Miles, same friend. He came over on Sunday and had me play it. There's a crap ton of story. Like I played, so you're playing as a main character who, um, because it's like a very very serious, very overdramatic anime kind of thing. You play like this dorky
Yeah.
teenage boy who gets involved in a lawsuit and gets expelled from his school because he tried to save a woman who was being sexually harassed by a mobster. And so, because he's a mobster, it's like
Okay.
he gets and
By a lobster?
mobster,
Oh.
not a lobster. What kind of game are you? No, I'm not talking
Well-
about Overcooked still.
Bring out the
Well,
dancing
what if it was a lobster?
lobsters.
If it was a lobster.
Um, so yeah, basically you're playing as this kid who has to move to Tokyo, and it actually very interestingly, very accurately duplicates Tokyo, downtown specifically. Um, and you're basically being fostered by this restaurant owner, and it's very weird. It's very very story heavy. I have done very very little gameplay. I'm almost positive I'm still in the prologue, and it was like an hour of gameplay.
It's like a visual novel then.
It's almost like a visual novel because it goes back and forth between cell shaded, like super glossy action scene RPG stuff because it's basically RPG light, so it's kind of a Pokemon Final Fantasy type.
Okay.
But to get around to that, there's a lot of talky cutscenes with actually very good voiceover work. It's because it's by Atlas. And then there's also genuine 2D and drawn anime cutscenes to kind of bridge the
Okay. So
chapters
it
together.
seems like a very well put together game.
It's a very sprawling story-based RPG, and it's got
But
a lot of polish. I haven't gotten really into the gameplay yet. But it's weird.
So you don't
because-
really
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on yet. I've only met one of the main cast members.
like RPG or is it like how do you like what's the game in itself?
well, that's the
besides
thing.
talking
Is
to
like
people?
you literally have you have Mass Effect style or just like RPG style where you have almost linear pathways, and then you just kind of end up having encounters. So when you're in combat, it's literally Final Fantasy, but super stylized looking. Like, if you want to see a
Okay.
game that's got great graphic design examples, you play Persona 5 for sure. It's got a very distinct oozing of style. So,
Yeah.
actually, Dylan,
Okay, I understand.
You've played it for a few minutes, right?
Yes.
I didn't know if you had thoughts on it or disagreed or something.
It's very zany. Yeah, it's lots of colors. It's a good time.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I'd have to probably try it out before I actually bought the game. I don't know if it's the type of game for me.
Yeah, I think that you would probably have to give it a try before you. It's very much like you have to be accepting of anime and basically
it's
that you're
an
playing
acquired-
an anime.
It's an acquired taste for sure.
Okay.
I'm not even that into it. Like,
Yeah, I
and
want
I like anime.
Yeah.
I want to go a little further in and see how I like it.
Okay.
But those are the
Well,
two that I played on Sunday. So
Well, after you get into it, let me know because I could check it out definitely.
yeah.
But yeah, right now there was a Games with Gold. You know how they have like the free games every month.
Yes.
And a game I remember on PC that I played when it was like a Slime Rancher further down, and it was free. So it's like, oh, let me see where it is, and that it's just so relaxing.
What was the game you cut off for a second?
Adorable. Yeah. So it's like Slime Rancher. You just kind of walk around collecting adorable little slimes and farming them for like their poop. I guess they call them plorps.
Oh. Huh.
More money to buy more stuff.
Oh.
More of the adorable slimes, and you like crossbreed them.
I thought you were talking about Stardew Valley for a second, and I was very confused. Cool.
I guess that very very artistic with its little blobs of adorableness. I'll say if you're having a stressful day, just play that game.
Huh. Dylan, have you played any video games?
Have I played any video games?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think. I mean, what do I play?
Anybody see the most recent episode of Game of Thrones?
Dude, I haven't watched it since we were at your house.
It's so good. You guys have to watch it.
I know. I have a HBO Go login, so I'm gonna watch it. Like,
everybody looks at me like I have 3 heads when they're like, "Have you been watching Game of Thrones?" I'm like, "Oh, I haven't been caught up in years, but I just marathon BoJack Horseman."
I honestly was gonna watch Game of Thrones the last like 3 nights, and I've just been too tired.
No, I understand that, but it is a good show. I definitely gotta say it. And the amount of stuff going on in the show now is just insane. Like it's basically like epic, like movie scale stuff going on in like an hour episode. It's just awesome to see.
I heard it's getting pretty crazy. So
it is getting crazy.
I can't neglect it any longer.
Another show on HBO definitely worth a watch is Westworld.
I watched the first few episodes of Westworld and I like it because I like Michael Crichton. I just didn't end up completely finishing. Ooh, that was a big frame rate drop right there. I am beginning to realize. I don't know if you're watching me play this, Chris, but I have made no progress in this game.
That's most how games go. Do we ever progress through them?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll find something different to stream next time. Anyway, cool. Unless you have any news to add, I don't know.
No, there's this is like a dead month of gaming. I mean, it's gonna pick up once we get to September. Obviously,
there's a couple of things. So yesterday's Mega Man Legacy 2 came out. And then next week we got Sonic Mania coming out. Both of which are just remastered packages of old games.
But do you remember that summer we got Witcher 3, and that was like the greatest summer ever?
Yeah, there hasn't really been a game like that this year, has there?
I don't know. I mean, CD Projekt Red just, oh my god. CD Projekt Red just knows how to, like, the perfect time to release a game. Obviously, yeah, it's just like, oh, here's one of the greatest games ever, and it's coming in the summer, so you have all the time in the world to play it. It's like when you have like 16 games come out between September and December, it's like, how am I supposed to play these?
Now, I'm almost positive. Hold on. I know Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is coming out.
Mm-hmm. Is Tom Holland going to be Nathan Drake?
I don't know. Sony sucks.
I listened to his Nerdist podcast earlier.
Oh, how was that?
He's really like jovial, but
I mean, wouldn't you be if you were Spider-Man?
He's living the dream.
Like he's like 21, but he acts like he's like 15.
I mean,
apparently they don't tell him any of the they don't give him his scripts ahead of time because he leaks stuff really easily. He likes to tell people things.
Oh really? Like no, I mean he's
like he shows up and like, okay, this is what you're doing because they don't want him to know.
Yeah, no, I mean he seems all right. He's a cute kid.
No, he seems.
Oh, we got that Mario plus Rabbids game coming out in the middle of the month, so that should be interesting.
I don't have a Switch. Damn.
No. Well.
It sucks.
See, that's the thing. I would love to play Breath of the Wild right now, but I can't.
Breath of the Wild is a phenomenal game, I guess.
No, it's. Well, I want to play it to completion. Obviously, I don't want to be stuck on a game forever.
It's such an immense and immersive game that when it's over, you're gonna be like, "That's it."
So, Chris, have I told you about how my problems with our problems with Breath of the Wild are very similar to Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
They're the exact same problems. It's like you have a fan base that's loved the series for so long, and you come to expect certain things from it, and it's great that it changes it up a little bit, and it becomes this big, sprawling, open-world epic where you can seemingly do anything, but then
Mhm.
the story is so interspersed, and you spend so much time chasing those story elements that it feels like there's gameplay, and then when you're done, it feels like nothing.
Yeah. Like once you complete it, there's nothing to do.
Right, and it's also to get to the end itself is entirely tedious.
Yeah.
And also,
But I mean, maybe it really they really revolutionized the series in both games by doing that. So maybe the next generation of that game, like when Breath of the Wild 2, the next Zelda game comes out, they take all the good elements and then they try and build on the things that were wrong with the game. You know, it's like
yeah,
it's really hard to make a perfect game. So it's like they made a really great game. Now maybe it's like, okay, now we know a good formula for open world. Let's maybe make it so
I
there's
like
more to do and not so much downtime. And when you beat the game, it's not like the game just ends, especially with an open world.
I kind of keep saying this, but like ironically, it was so lacking in the Zelda department.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, well, I guess they really had to change up the chemistry though, because I think people, especially after Skyward Sword, people, okay, it's like let's try and make something new and fresh.
I know, but like it should have been a balance. You know what I mean? Because they had the like workings of
Yeah.
typical Zelda, but they just weren't fleshed out at
Un-
all.
Unlike Metal Gear Solid 5, they had the time and the resources.
Well, that game was supposed to come out for the Wii U. So I think once they realized the Wii U didn't sell well, they're like, okay, let's put this on the back burner until we get it to the Switch. At least that way we could drive sales with that. So I think they figured the Wii U
Yeah,
Yes.
for
was
them
kind of
it's
lost at
entirely
that point.
monetary, whereas with Metal Gear,
Yeah,
it was also entirely monetary because basically they ran out of
yeah,
time and money. And Kojima was like,
yep.
"Wait, but I have to do the story." And they're like, "Nope, nope, let's push the game out. Let's get it done."
It's
But
like
too much time and money could be a bad thing too. Look at the Duke Nukem series. Remember, when, like the original,
Yeah,
like
that was a
Duke Nukem Forever was
sinkhole of
supposed to
money.
come out. It was just money and time that just turned into nothing. So it's like you do. Someone who's probably creating a game never wants to really release it because there's always something they can improve upon. But sometimes you just gotta get it out there. You know.
I play Zelda for the bosses in the dungeons, and it did not deliver on
Well,
either of those
and
fronts.
see, here's the thing though, we tune into Zelda games for that because we're used to Ocarina of Time and the games following it. And I mean, you could say that there is a significance to the bosses in the original Zelda game, but not really. So I think that that game is most enjoyed by people who appreciate the 2D ones a lot more. Even
Mhm.
though I think that A Link to the Past had the most perfect balance of both of those things.
Oh yeah, Link to the Past was always my favorite
And it
because it
had,
was just
like, if Breath of the Wild
it had a
was a 3D open world realized version of A Link to the Past, we wouldn't be complaining at all. But like A Link Between Worlds was halfway there, right? Like the concepts of Breath of the Wild are seen in A Link Between Worlds in terms of you have the overworld and there's a structure, but you can do it in whatever order you want, and you can get whatever weapons you want at any time. You just need the money for them to rent them.
Except
Mhm.
they all break.
Except in right, for the fundamental design of how Breath of the Wild is supposed to be so that people do exploring instead of farming the weapons, they all break.
yeah.
But it's like I know fundamentally this type of thing would have broken the game, but like there's a literal like blacksmithing asset in the game. Like you could like forge swords with shit that you collect and
But
stuff in that game.
here's the
That'd be
thing:
awesome.
they were thinking far ahead about how people would try to
Yeah.
basically break the game, and in doing that, they didn't really.
Well, it made for a really annoying experience.
You're right, but
I
if
think that was a test. It was kind of a test to see if that system would work. I mean, I think it's a maybe game the sword breaks, but it doesn't break forever. Like you can go and repair it. The sword you really like, you could use it more often.
Well, like, think of Skyrim,
It's
right? Because there's some
yeah,
parallels into how those two games are structured. When people go and play Skyrim, and you've done all the end game story stuff, what do people do? They just farm as many elements as they can get their hands on to then get the strongest possible weapons and armors in the game. And that's not fun.
Yeah.
But then, by making all the weapons able to be broken, the side quests aren't fun either. So
Yeah,
what has to be there? Engaging characters and story. And if
it
you
makes the
don't
game
have
tedious
that,
because it's like
yeah,
It's just like you get all this dope shit that looks so dope, and then it's like pointless. Also, not that it's a video game, so I wasn't like anticipating anything, especially from a Zelda game narratively, but like, holy fucking shit, the story in that game blows. It's like bare bones nothingness. It's like just the most like conventional like Zelda archetype, and it's just like
yeah. Well, they tried doing the big sprawling story in Skyward Sword, and look how that turned out. So
honestly though, Skyward Sword, if there's any redeeming trait, it's
the
probably
story?
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Our gripes on Skyward Sword are the gameplay.
Yeah, no. That like as on that front, it's a goddamn disaster. But like the cutscenes and stuff are pretty solid for a Zelda game. Like I wasn't expecting anything like that. But like, and I'm not saying the cutscenes of Breath of the Wild aren't like
No, but
engaging, but like
uh, in the same way, they don't look, weirdly enough, very different from how Skyward Sword. You know what? I take that back before I even finish that sentence
because of the limitation of that console, like the color palette did not translate at all, and it looked terrible.
I think that if there was a port of Skyward Sword to the Switch, like in real HD, it would look very nice. But then the gameplay has to translate.
Everything that Nintendo makes is well designed. It's just like even though like Majora's Mask or Ocarina, like even though they're like clearly dated games or whatever, like they're still like well designed.
well, good gameplay will always hold up. You know, graphics get old, but good gameplay will always hold up.
Although like their gameplay is sort of showing its age now too.
Well, here's the thing. You can have graphics not hold up, but you can still have the sense of art direction and style show through. That's why games like Metal Gear Solid.
That's why Wind Waker is probably gonna last.
Wind Waker, yeah, they hold up because they took the limitations of what they had on them and made it into something.
That's why I always rave about Majora's Mask still.
Yeah,
It's
Majora's
just like
Mask, the original version, not even the 3D version.
yeah.
Still looks
No,
good.
like the conveyance of the atmosphere, it's still like unparalleled to me. Like that game is like really conveys a sense of dread and just like amazing color scheme and everything. It looks so good, even still, even though it's like whatever from the year 2000, 17 years.
That's like me. I could always go back and play Halo 1. Like Halo 1 will always look good to me no matter, you know, even with the HD.
Like,
I can go
whereas
back and play it on my Xbox.
The remaster looks like ass, doesn't it?
It just, you know, I like the old, like just the old way it looks. It's like, you know, polygony. You can see like nothing's perfect.
Yeah, and it's tough for us because we're
it-
nostalgic about it too.
But the
I loved
gameplay is great.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved Halo Custom Edition.
Oh yeah. And
It's, like,
have you
so
seen the
fun.
stuff that they're making in Forge lately? Jesus Christ, people are
No.
talented.
Like Halo 5 Forge?
Halo 5 Forge is like its own game. It's like Mario Maker. It's insane. It's the games people have made. Just go on YouTube and look at some of the crazy maps people have made. Like they've made, like they recreated Dunk Hunt.
Oh my
Like,
god, I
it's insane.
finally found another section of this game. It's been almost an hour, and I finally have found a level 2.
So you're saying great game development.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I haven't really been paying attention, so I've been kinda in circles.
Yeah. But you know, if the game's fun, you don't matter running around in circles, you know.
Well, yeah, at least.
But if it's not fun, then that's, you know, tedious.
So here's the thing with this game. If the gameplay's fun, you're right. But the enemies just keep attacking me through nothingness, and all I'm doing is mashing X in different directions.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too fun.
No. So, like, I'm supposed to be having fun exploring, which would be fun. The levels look nice in this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I constantly have enemies attacking me because dying is how I level up. So there's constantly enemies attacking me. And so because of that, they come from nothingness. They just pass through walls because it's procedurally generated.
Yeah.
And so that means that my walking cycle is constantly interrupted by mashing X.
So it's like you can't really explore and figure out where to go because you have to constantly fight.
Yes, exactly. I could, but and it would be one thing if the gameplay was a little more dynamic, and maybe it will be once I get more upgrades because I'm supposed to get more upgrades. But for right now, I'm just mashing X, going up walls, and then mashing X again.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I hope it picks up. Maybe the second hour of the game.
Yeah. No, well, I've tuned into reviews, and while I liked playing this game at PAX and I enjoyed the beta, the game is all this. Like 100%.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah.
So it's just like a grinding game. It's like a dungeon grinder.
It's exactly what it is because by killing you get XP, and when you die you get to go back to your skill tree at the beginning of the map.
Would you say it's like a 2D Diablo, where you just kind of go into dungeons, grind loot, and
yes, but it's not cooperative.
Levels. That's so fun.
Yeah, and also the dungeons are at least pre-made, and so because of that, it's very, very simple. So the art style is beautiful, but the level design is really boring. There's no interesting platforming other than occasional wall jumping. There's no treasure to find other than weird glowing sacks.
My hat looks like it's glowing.
I told you your hat glows.
Hold on, be right back.
I'm gonna split actually because I gotta eat dinner.
Okay, man. Yeah. So, Chris, unless you have anything to add, I think we've covered everything. So, cool. I would say, now that we're done, thanks for tuning in. This stream had no technical hippos, no technical hippos.
They're very dangerous. The most dangerous animal in the world.
I would say we had a successful broadcast tonight. Thank you for joining me. So if anybody's listening, submit questions and interesting topics that you want to hear us talk about, because we'll be doing this every Wednesday.